Okay, so let's look at that in terms of sovereignty, female sovereignty. So, first of all, my argument is that society needs a moral monarchy where moral precision and not the female judgment or emotion should decide who a woman dates. However, because society is too immature to do that, which is obviously what's right, right? Righteousness over emotion and silly judgment in a society where there's a 50% divorce rate and people date all kinds of losers and then they end up married to somebody who's an idiot and then their life is over before they know it and their kids do the same. Okay? But my argument then becomes the next best thing is a secular society. Okay? Not a moral monarchy where I'm the only valid monarch in a moral monarchy. So next best thing is a secular society. So women then have a moral order in that secular society. Again, where I'm the major figure because no one else is moral. Put a lamp on its stand, right? And put morality for all to see what morality actually looks like through persecution. These people even edit my voice. I've been making videos since 2009. Next year will be 14 years. 14 years of the opposition views having countless members who are well aware of my arguments and why I'm making them. It's called the truth. Okay? So when we see that moral order in that secular society, right? If we were to see it, we would immediately see that I'm right. Well, how do we know that I'm right now? In this immoral, so-called secular society, with corporate interests running things behind the scenes, the corporate state, fancy social clubs, what have you. How do we know that I'm right? Well, there's no sovereignty in the state. Why? Why do females not have sovereignty? More than just abortion in some states. Because they don't have the required building blocks of sovereignty over their body. They say, well, what do you mean? What building blocks? You know, they have books, they have resources, they have the internet. Well, they need mental clarity. They need wisdom, discipline, and courage. If you aren't wise enough to truly appreciate your options, if you don't have the mental clarity to appreciate your options, how can you truly have sovereignty over your body? You just have a problem with brain function and judgment and the silly judgments that occur after that. Look at in terms of drugs and alcohol. If a female was piss-faced drunk, in California at least, and she has sex and she says that she got raped, that person, that guy would go to jail, probably to prison. Why? Because the person wasn't in a state of mind that allowed for consent. It was a con man sending a trap, if you will, and another con man taking advantage of that trap. It wasn't truly informed consent. It wasn't a pro sending mental clarity and her making a wise decision because she's drunk. Well, what does alcohol do? Right? It goes into the blood, it affects the brain. It affects various levels of chemicals in the brain, serotonin and dopamine. It affects brain function. It affects brain wiring, especially if you do it in a prolonged manner, every day, for example, or every other day or often. It affects the ability for the brain and the mind to function. It affects mental clarity and by default one's ability to be wise. And therefore by default one's ability to have actual heart derived from mental clarity and wisdom. And actual discipline derived from mental clarity and wisdom. So therefore a female does not have sovereignty. And are the children the future, as the saying goes? Yes. To some degree, at least, obviously, right? Okay. Is love important? When people say love is the answer, is it important? When the LGBT community says love wins, do they believe that the idea of love is important? Should females have the mental clarity and the wisdom and the heart and the discipline and the freedom to be free from being terrorized into who they can and cannot date? For example, I will submit to you that in every town run by the clan historically, females, for many reasons, did not have sovereignty over the body. Because the clan said basically, you can't date any black guy. You can't date any Hispanic. They said you can't date anyone who isn't white. So by default, they were telling them who they can and can't sleep with in a way that is unreasonable. Therefore, they took away their sovereignty in a way that is universally true. Only in a liar's culture is it untrue, what I just said. It is universally true. So females must be allowed to consider not only my arguments, they must be allowed to hear them. They also must be allowed to see my martial art demonstrations. Why? Because martial arts is a form of expression. They're expressing lifestyles, which have everything to do with life decisions. And as I pointed out before, the only true form of intelligence, or the most significant form of intelligence rather, has to do with life decisions. Everything else is just being good at something. You're good at knitting. You're good at being at physics. You're good at engineering. You're good at programming. This is just good ats. In fact, the group in high school is referred to as the good ats, right? You say floaters, jocks, emos, anime fans. They say good ats, people who are good at things. Why aren't they called smarter than everyone else? They're just called good ats. It's the culture testifying that there's a difference between true wisdom and true intelligence, which has to do with life decisions first and foremost, and being merely good at something. If a female is good at programming, does that mean that she has the wisdom it takes for true sovereignty over their body? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. So again, as the ancient Egyptians say the heart is the seat of intelligence. Why? Because you have to have the heart to insist on mental clarity to have the possibility for intelligence in the first place. It is the center. It is the essence. It is the core of intelligence. And without a certain brain function, how could your heart express yourself? How could you have heart? The brain, communicates ideas to your subconscious, your unconscious mind, to your conscious, and it says, hey, this is what it means to make a sound decision. So without mental clarity, heart, and discipline, females do not have sovereignty over their body. Therefore, the culture is a rape culture. Am I the first person to say that it's a rape culture? No. I might very well be the first person to describe it this way publicly. But it is absolutely a rape culture. Should society then say, hey, I guess we've been making a mistake this whole time. Let's cover it up and keep raping everyone. Or should they say, hey, what the hell? My goodness, let's rally and stop. And if they don't, why not? Because they don't have mental clarity. They don't have heart. They don't have sound judgment. They don't have wisdom. They don't have discipline. These are the martial art principles, and they can be expressed through sparring. They cannot be expressed through a kata, because what's the difference between a kata and a ballet dance? How many ballet dancers are known as airheads? Even the Russian ballet is said to be so complex. You can't express sound judgments and prioritization and discipline that way. And you can't express it through sparring in a way that is attached to a machine or using performance-enhancing drugs. Okay, these things confuse the situation. I submit to you